TGIF Warriors, I'm going to do a weekly recap for you guys. I'm going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly, and also do a little bit of coaching here, as I have to coach myself and remember things that I forget sometimes. And what I want to talk about right now is that at times correlations break down, and they're, like everything else, like, three drives and everything else in this business, nothing works all the time. So my belief was that the dollar was going to trade back over 106. Okay, so this is the good 106. I've been talking about 106 euro for a while, major breakdown under 107.30. I've been talking about fib targets, which come in at 595. I think it could be a little deeper. It's not just a price, it's how it gets to the price. You guys know that I'm going to be looking for divergences before I try and bottom pick the euro and keep an open mind. But what I want to talk about is I got the direction of all the currencies, which, includes the dollar. You've been following me for a while. I've been looking for about 123.30 in cable. That's down here. We're almost there. We got sales off here. If you still have some, congratulations. I still have some dollar longs from the Fed day when the dollar got smacked pretty hard. That was down here. Okay, so you see this dot here? I put it up there quite a while ago, thinking that we were going to get there. There are a few different counts where we could get to 106.70 or so. I've been also talking about my forecasting a lower Aussie, that we would have a chance to buy it back around the 63.5 to 62.5 level. That looks like that's in gear. Canada, I've been talking about 137, 138. That's in gear, most likely exceeds it. And U.S. Japanese yen breakout over 52, coming off a little bit here today. It may have more to do with rates than anything else. And that is something else that's part of the good, not the bad or ugly. You've been following my videos. I've been looking for higher yields. I talked about maybe 460. How about that? 460 before the reversal today. TLT, I had this chart drawn for a long time. I had a little red dot here from quite some time ago. Thought that we could trade down to 89. I'll call this close enough for government work. So there's a very good chance that this is a great bond buying opportunity. Now I want to explain the bad. The bad is I was right about yields. I was right about dollar strength. And I thought that those two elements in the market would create a correction in gold. So I was wrong about that correlation. It fell apart. I believe a potential war in the Middle East is probably bigger than RSI divergences. And that's why, write this down, trade each market, each chart, like it's its own individual separate thing in the universe, instead of always trying to look at correlations. Now, it's good to be able to notice correlations, but you have to still go back to price action on each individual move. And this move in gold has been spectacular, and silver, and definitely did not respond to a strong dollar, which normally it does, and or higher yields. So here we are at new all-time highs approaching 2,400, and same with silver. new almost at $30, which I believe that was David Brady's target. The miners should come in. The miners aren't acting as great as the physical metal. Let's see how, what they're calling like GDX, Newmont. So Newmont's up $1. It may or may not make new highs, but acting very good. Here's SILJ. I'm not showing a pre-market in that. I am showing pre-markets in some of these other ones. This is not quite at new highs. Endeavor, Fortuna will be. Okay, so what do you do here? You have to wait for a reset. I couldn't launch new money at these miners. Fortunately, I did call the bottom, and I was there for this move still with some. Okay, AG. I remember talking about AG right here on an earnings report that it reversed on bad earnings with divergences all over the place. So these metals are flying. I still think that whenever this wave is completed, in fact, 24,2,500 was a long-term target for me in gold. So here we are. I didn't expect this to happen. Anyway, that was the issue of being right about the direction of rates and being and the dollar and the metals taking off. Perhaps the best analogy is 79 during the hostage crisis, and energy is part of this equation. It's definitely acting good, and we could have some type of oil shock if things get out of control and Iran retaliates, and then there's another retaliation by Israel or the US, even though both Iran and the US said they didn't want to have a war, and that something happens like it did in 79, where there's some type of blockade so that oil is not able to get through the Strait of Hormuz sometime this summer. All right, so let's move on to the S&Ps, which I talked about a 2-week reversal we had last week. And so far, it held that 5150 level. It's still a negative week, which actually confirms last week's 2-week reversal for a potential correction. But you see what it's trying to hold here? I brought this up on my broadcast on Monday, that back under this 5150 level, closing under it, the 9 days at 5148, 5149. That's not that far away. And with what gold's doing, I don't know. Are you going to want to go home with risk on? With, I believe there was a CBS News report that Iran's retaliation could start as soon as today. So if nothing happens over the weekend, then most likely gold pulls back, silver pulls back, and the market tries to make a new high. But I think we're entering this correction, and we're not that far away from triggering it. Again, it's a 2-week reversal because we never got to, I brought up 52.55 was this week's 2-week reversal. And despite yesterday's recovery, which was pretty good after the CPI, we closed at 52.12. So we're still 46 handles, basically, today's action lower on the week. And the Dow has really been leading the way to the downside. We had a 2-week reversal with follow through there. NASDAQ has held up the best. Okay, but this week is still a 2-week reversal, just like last week. Now, yesterday, before Apple started really exploding to the upside, I asked Mike if there were any option sweeps in Apple, and I found out when we were doing our broadcast together that there was someone taking a shot. So fortunately, I got out here. I'm flat, took a small loss on my June Apple puts. We'll see what happens here. with Apple. If the market breaks down, maybe it's not even going to be one of the leaders. So that was really it. So again, don't be in a real big hurry to buy it, the euro. I've seen counts that could take it down to, 105.20 down here, but hold the 104 low. But if I really wanted to be a bear, I'd go 111.5 to 107.5, and that's going to give me 103, 102. If you consider this a descending triangle breakdown. Okay, and Aussie is holding up the best, and you have to think with what's happening in copper really breaking out here on the weekly, looking pretty good. Commodities are looking pretty good in the face of a strong dollar. So the Fed rate cuts have moved from 6 to now 1.5. And now that everyone is bearish again, I'm thinking there's a decent shot in TLT. Just a real big warning for the market again would be VIX closing back over 18. So a simple measured move from 12 to 18 would take you to about 24. And that would be normal for some type of correction in the market. And then maybe we regroup after we pull back to say 48, the breakout. 23% is 49, about 5,000. So we'll see what the behavior is here if we get this correction to generate, and maybe it doesn't take out the support today. You have to be aware that if something does happen over the weekend, it could gap it. Okay, so that's my wrap up. The big lesson is trade each instrument like it's an individual instrument, and don't base your trades on correlations. Base your trades on the chart you're trading. And I hope that we've given you an edge this week between Mike and I, and that it's adding value to what you're trying to accomplish as a trader. My goal is to teach, to be transparent about when I'm wrong. And you can't get into a boxing ring without being hit. So it's a learning process that never stops. So keep growing or you're dying. And remember, most of all, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. I'll see you in the room. Have a great weekend and pray for peace. Amen. See you guys next week.